The afternoon rush hour may take a while for some folks because of a power outage on the rails. It could mean a long night for some travelers. Power went out around 8 o'clock this morning on Amtrak's Northeast Corridor from Washington to New York. Now, even though power was back up by 10:30 this morning, problems still remain. After a morning full of stuck trains and commuters climbing over the tracks to get out of the stations, Amtrak is up and running. However, some delays remain. SEPTA's regional rails are back as well, but a few delays remain system-wide. New Jersey Transit is cutting down the number of trains on their schedule. They say they'll resume normal operations around 9 o'clock tonight. Amtrak is still investigating the cause of the power outage.
It was quite a morning for people. Some trains were stuck on the tracks, 5 in tunnels, 1 in Baltimore, and 4 under the Hudson River in New York. Here in our area, commuters bailed out of trapped train cars. No power, no air conditioning, so a comfortable commute turned into a long, sticky waiting game for people. Now, in North Jersey, a stream of passengers files out of a train and onto the tracks. About 100 passengers in the area climbed out and walked nearly a mile to the nearest station, only to wait for a bus. Boy, and that's the sound every stranded passenger was waiting for as trains roared back to life in Claymont, Delaware. We have team coverage of the power outage and its aftermath. Anne-Marie Green is live at Philadelphia's 30th Street Station. Robin Rieger is live in Trenton. Let's start with Anne-Marie.
Well, Angela, the problem occurring right in the middle of the morning rush. Thousands of commuters were able to make it halfway to their destination, only to find themselves stranded either here at the 30th Street Station or at the suburban station. How long have you been waiting? 2.5 hours.
About 2.5 also. 3 hours.
All that time on this little red bench at Suburban Station.
How much of the book have you gotten through?
60 pages of a book for pleasure and pretty much half a pile of work.
How are you spending the time?
Daydreaming. Wishing I was at work.
Not your usual daydream, but hours of waiting for the R5 SEPTA train was enough to get people just a little wound up.
It's a mess.
The lights weren't on the R5 when we pulled in, so I had a feeling that...
She got off the R5 at 30th Street Station on her way to New York, but with the Amtrak trains down, she wasn't able to go there or go back home.
I'm actually supposed to meet my vice president for the first time today, so it's a little frustrating.
And so it remained for hours, people looking for answers.
I don't know. You have idea what's going on?
Then just around 11, the power slowly came back on, but the mood didn't improve.
I went up to get a ticket. They don't have a clue. They say go over to passenger service. They don't have a clue.
Are you actually happy to be going to work now?
10:45.
I don't know.
Good luck.
Bad day indeed, and it looks like it's shaping up to be a pretty bad afternoon as well. You're looking at the board here, the Amtrak board at 30th Street Station. There's only 1 train on time. Almost all the others are delayed, and you can see that there are trains that were scheduled to leave at about 11:30, 11:45 this morning, still haven't left. It's going to be a long ride home. Live from the 30th Street Station, I'm Anne-Marie Green, CBS 3 Eyewitness News.
Yeah, Anne-Marie, that was a good idea for that woman you interviewed to have a book with her.
Indeed.
Good thing she had that. Thanks, Anne-Marie. Now let's switch to Robin Rieger in Trenton, where New Jersey Transit trains won't get back to normal till 9 o'clock tonight. Robin?
Well, they're telling us that you can expect delays out here, and we've seen them. The trains are running, but again, tens of thousands of passengers slowed down this morning. That same amount can expect some problems this afternoon. The power has been restored, but again, some of the problems New Jersey Transit is reporting now, when the people got off the trains, they left equipment and some other debris on the train tracks that had to be cleared.
Come on, get on, folks. Get on, get on. Whether you have a ticket or not, we're going to take you.
Some confusion for passengers followed after train service was restored this morning in Trenton. People not exactly sure they were getting onto the right Amtrak train as crews hustled them aboard for departure to Philadelphia and points south. A final shout and they're off. Passengers obviously relieved the power outage is over. They waited patiently for delayed trains. There are dozens of them. Or they got off trains that pulled into Trenton after being stuck since 8:15 this morning.
When we stopped, they finally opened the doors maybe about half an hour later. And the train was there for about a good hour and a half, maybe 2.
Some lucky Amtrak and New Jersey Transit passengers, if you can call them lucky, got stuck close enough to the Trenton station to get off the train and walk to the platform. Jennifer Krutnuyan, who was traveling with her golf clubs, learned chivalry isn't dead.
This nice man helped me, so it could have been much worse.
Cell phones were stuck to many ears, payphones being used as well as people sought other ways to get around. The River Line and New Jersey Transit buses came in handy, so did laptops for people who got right down to work. For others, though, like 4-year-old Aiden Fink, his first train ride will be even more noteworthy.
The silly train broke.
Well, at least he got to sleep for the majority of the time. Now, New Jersey Transit says it will have 4 trains per hour beginning now through 9 o'clock tonight on the Northeast Corridor and Coastline trains. The biggest complaint we found today, a lack of help or guidance from people on the platform and in the station. One other note, New Jersey Transit says it will not be giving any refunds. Amtrak says it will. Reporting live in Trenton, I'm Robin Rieger, CBS 3 Eyewitness News.
Of people were affected from Washington, D.C. to New York City.
It is Thursday night. The big story on Action News is a day of major headaches for commuters thanks to a major power failure. Instead of riding, some people ended up walking.
We got stuck on the tracks for hours. There was no air conditioning and they didn't have any information. Next thing you know, it was backed up from Washington to New York.
Well, it started just after 8 this morning when Amtrak lost power along its Northeast Corridor. That, of course, runs from Washington, D.C. to New York City, right through Philadelphia. At 30th Street Station, trains came to a grinding halt. Passengers already on board waited it out without lights or air conditioning, while folks in the station tried to pass the time. In Trenton, New Jersey, the sign said it all. Nothing was moving. And to the north in Elizabeth, about 100 people had to climb off of a stopped train here. They walked almost a mile back to the nearest station. Meanwhile, in Wilmington, Delaware, folks had to grab books, magazines, whatever they could find, just trying to pass the time and make up for the loss. Again, things back up and running tonight, but that is little consolation to some commuters. Action News reporter Aaron O'Hearn live at the Overbrook station with more on all of this. And Aaron, it's been a very long day for a lot of folks.
Monica, certainly a long day and a frustrating day. Now, we just got late word about some train schedules. If you are traveling SEPTA this evening, good news, everything seems to be on time. Bad news if you're on Amtrak. You're looking at a 30 or more minute delay. Now, commuters we talked to had mixed reactions about this morning's chaos. Some were very optimistic, said if there was any a day to go out and take a walk, today was it. Others were a little less forgiving.
They should make this a movie. Stuck in Jersey trying to get to New York. Help a brother.
Well, it wasn't a movie, and commuters say there wasn't much help either.
No one from Amtrak to give any kind of guidance or anything, which was that kind of iced the cake for me. Right. You know, so you pretty much left to fend for yourself. So thank God for Enterprise.
Thousands of commuters did fend for themselves. An early morning power surge left Amtrak's Northeast Corridor paralyzed. This was the scene in Trenton. Mass transit looking more like a mass exodus. A few hours wait inside the train turned into a few-mile walk along the rough, uneven tracks. It was tough for Sarah Lee Miller, who ended up missing her granddaughter's graduation.
It's been quite an experience. I mean, what can I say?
It might have been something similar to a large evacuation if you looked down the tracks and saw nothing but people just walking northbound towards Trenton.
By 8 o'clock, it was obvious trains weren't moving, but the problem certainly was the Amtrak power surge also froze SEPTA and New Jersey Transit. Dennis Sparks was on his way from Newark to 30th Street Station when his train came to a screeching halt in Holmesburg. After 2 hours without lights, air conditioning, or much information, Sparks and others were bused to the Cornwall Heights station.
The bright side is that we weren't in a tunnel and we weren't on a bridge.
Others weren't so lucky. Amtrak labeled those a priority and used diesel locomotives to push them free. But by the time things got moving, most had given up on getting anywhere.
I guess I won't be getting home anytime soon.
So again, if you are traveling Amtrak tonight, expect some residual delays. SEPTA looks much better. Everything is on time. Weary passengers from this morning certainly thankful for that. We'll have much more for you coming up tonight at 6. We're live at Overbrook Station. Aaron O'Hearn.
Outage caused huge trouble for the tracks this morning. Trains across our region and the Northeast Corridor came to a screeching halt, stranding tens of thousands of commuters. Okay, so what about tomorrow? Fox 29's Claudia Gomez joins us live from 30th Street Station with more on the outages. Claudia?
Well, Dave, it was a long and frustrating day for anybody who relies on a train to get to work, whether it's Amtrak, New Jersey Transit, or SEPTA. But take a look behind me right now, because there is a long line of cabs here at 30th Street Station, which actually means good news. It means that there are not passengers who are stranded inside 30th Street trying to get someplace else. A far different scene this morning, though. That power outage could not have happened at a worse time. It happened right in the middle of the morning commute. Where there should have been trains rolling on tracks, there were instead passengers on foot. In this case, walking the half-mile or so back to the Linden train station on the New Jersey Transit line. A scene repeated from New York to D.C. Thursday morning.
We had to get off the train and walk the tracks up to the platform, take a bus from there to somewhere in Newark.
But a seat on a bus was almost as scarce as a moving train.
1,400 people got off the train and walked very calmly on the tracks to North Elizabeth, where there were no buses. We were lucky we were in the front part of the train. Anyway.
What kind of shoes did you have on?
I had on wedges, not sneakers today.
The power outage froze trains in their tracks for almost 3 hours. These passengers could count themselves among the lucky ones. They may not have had air conditioning, but at least they didn't get stuck in a tunnel like trains in New York and Baltimore.
It's waiting and waiting. I hope it's not too much longer.
But it was. Even after power returned just before 11, the railroads needed more time to clear the tracks of all the stranded trains. The board at 30th Street Station said it all, and so did travelers' faces.
Looks like a lot of trains are delayed, and even to try to catch the next one, I don't even know when I'm getting out of here.
Am I supposed to take a cab from here to Baltimore or back to, I don't know.
SEPTA returned to normal service by the afternoon rush, but New Jersey Transit could only get half its trains running on the Northeast Corridor, the kind of day that required some pampering at the end of it all.
I'm going to get a pedicure because my feet hurt.
And more good news for you. Amtrak appears to be back on schedule, New Jersey Transit as well, and SEPTA, which means your morning commute tomorrow morning should be much better than it was today. Amtrak is still trying to figure out what caused the power to go out. It says it's looking at its electronic logs, but so far it still doesn't know quite why the whole system shut down. Reporting live from 30th Street Station, Claudia Gomez, Fox 29 News.
Let's keep our
That would be a big production.
Milepost 16.0. No defects. NS detector. Milepost 16.0. No defects. he broke his leg. 260-471.